This is Dabu7, a very important video in terms of drones, flying drones, airspace, and things that I think everyone out there needs to be aware of when it comes to drones, UAVs. Now, I've talked about this a little bit in separate videos, but I wanted to cover this completely here so people understand exactly what you should or should not be doing when flying the drone. Now, it really comes down to common sense. And if you don't have common sense, then you don't need to be flying a drone. It also comes down to safety and being aware of your surroundings when flying and operating one of these aircraft, and responsibility. Now, there's a separation here on how they classify who has a drone. And as of right now, as I've said before, there are no official rules in concrete until the FAA decides to put all this out. They're expecting by next year. That's what Amazon and all these other companies are waiting on. Now, they have proposed a set of rules and regulations that are out there, like don't fly at night, don't fly out of the line of sight. Some situations you should have a spotter. They talk about licensing and permits, not to go over 400 or 500 feet, to stay away from airports, things of that nature. There's a ring of 3 to 5 miles. You shouldn't be flying in the area of airports. And some of these drones are designed to where they will not fly in those areas. Automatically, it's programmed in it. And most of these drones have built-in GPS features, which are helpful for retrieving a drone that gets lost and will return to the point to where it took off. Okay? And it's not so helpful in a sense to where you can think, well, they're tracking your every move and everything you're doing with it. Well, they're doing that pretty much anyway with everything, so as long as you're not doing anything illegal, you shouldn't have anything to worry about. Now, this is why I want to keep everybody here on the up and up with what's going on with the drones. That way you don't get caught up in a situation where you're paying a $10,000 fine like the Sheep did, Black Sheep, that crew that do the crazy stunt aerial stuff with their drones and planes. And apparently they were flying too close and crazy to buildings that it caught them a $10,000 fine. And they would take their drones and dive them and twist them and flip them, and they'd crash out of the air and everything else. And, you know, that's pretty wild. But that's the type of footage they like to put together and put out there. And in that instance, they got hit. They fought it. They won it. Then they came back. They hit them again. And in the end, they had to pay. And I don't want to see people out there get caught up in situations like, for instance, there was another individual that had filmed a college campus for the college campus, and they had paid him, you know, like a job. That is what they're not wanting right now. If you are a hobbyist, you can pretty much do whatever you want at this point. Common sense, you know, and all that applies. Everything that I've already stated. But when it comes to commercial aircraft and flying it, like for farmers you see here, they can't legally fly them, but they can't get the guys that are surveying their fields, they can't pay them to do the job with the drone. You see, that's the issue here. The whole thing with commercial stuff. Now, they are issuing an exemption 333, which will allow businesses to apply for this. And in the meantime, until they get these rules into place, you can get this permit through this exemption to fly and make money and to be able to conduct your business and do it legitimately. You see? But you have to go through this process or you're going to get shut down. Now, there's a lot of talk of you can fly here, you can't fly there. The best thing to do, and I'll leave links for all this stuff. And this right here is official FAA.gov stuff right here. They're legitimate stuff on what you're going to have to go through, their guidelines. It sends everything to the official spot. Okay, and I'll leave a link for this so you guys can read into the whole farming aspect for those that may be interested in that. But it goes beyond that. It goes into real estate, all types of different stuff that people are using drones for. They're using them for security, to watch people's property. They're using it for rescue, things of that nature. But when you're out there flying, you have to know and be aware of where you can fly legitimately and where you can't. Now, here on this map, this is a good map that if you've got a drone and you're planning to fly, you're going to want to bookmark this and hold on to this, because anywhere you're going, you're going to want to check and see if it's legit or not, because I guarantee you there's some spots out here that you would never think you can't fly in. And I know some of it is absolutely ridiculous. But it is what it is, and if you want to know where it sits right now, that's why I'm doing this video. This is an interesting one. Going through the Petrified Forest National Park. And what they've done, and I've said this before, and people are probably going to, wake up to this one day and be like, what the hell happened here? How is this possible? How come we can't do this in a national park? What does a national park mean? Well, you can see a lot of these parks are called national parks, nationalized. And like Mammoth Cave and others, you'll go down there and there's a big old sign that says this is a UN sanctuary type place, a global place that they've marked it as. So not even officially a part of the United States, you see? It's part of what they've got going on. And they mark it as that, and they ban and set all these rules into place to where you can only do what they say. But making these areas no-fly zones just makes no sense to me, especially for drone aircraft when it's all countryside, whether it's trees or forest or canyons, things of that nature. It's all the beautiful countryside. And what is somebody going to do? Go blow up the countryside? What is the deal here? Or is there something there they don't want people to see? Now, I can understand protecting certain areas, but I know most of you see where I'm going with this. It makes no sense to not be able to film it from the air when you can film it from the ground. And, they tried to use the excuse at the Grand Canyon that somebody crashed into the rocks and it scarred the rock. And that's what I remember them talking about and all this being brought up. And it's like, really? You crashed this little drone into that Grand Canyon and it scarred a rock, and this is what you're basing it all on? And you can see right here the airports that are marked, the other areas that they just label no-fly zone, all the Grand Canyon. So if any of you guys ever are planning on wanting to fly a drone out there, because that would be absolutely amazing footage. It would, hands down. It would be. You can't do it. It's sad, because you'd think here in America you'd be free to do it, but once you look into this, these spots are designated different things that it's out of the hands of the public. Lake Mead completely, all the way down. You know what that means? Hoover Dam is off limits. Means there will be no drone flight going down at the Hoover Dam like I wanted, and the Grand Canyon. I would have loved to have got any of it there with the drone footage. Not going to be able to. Selective shots, I'm going to hit the outskirts of Vegas, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take advantage of the Red Rock, anything that's around here, in the Valley of Fire. Those areas will be beautiful as well, and they're not marked like the beautiful Zion National Park. Outskirts of this would be open, but the main heart of it, where the most beautiful parts are and unique, are all blocked from checking out from the air. Now Dixie's open over here, which has some beautiful stuff, but the heart of Bryce Canyon, Capitol Reef, Glen Canyon, all these places, Canyonlands, in the bottom section of the arches. The top part you'd be able to get and see, but the heart of it, once again, at the bottom, a no-fly zone. So you guys got an idea here of what's going on. And as I pointed out in another video, when it comes to Area 51 specifically, this is one of the biggest no-fly zones out there. The Tonopah Test Range. And there's all this talk of you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, that's why I'm doing this video, to make sure people are up to speed with what you can and can't do, and where you can and can't go officially here. It's up to you what you do. But as you can see here, and this is the most important part, is this road is the road that runs up through Alamo, which sits right here, and then cuts and comes down through here, and this is Bald Mountain. Bald Mountain, they basically have cameras set up where they can watch every car that comes down this road all the way up this ridge, and right up in here on this side of the road is where the Little Alien sits, and it's in an open area. All this, it's not in the no-fly zone. It's not till you get down here right between the valley and all that to where it becomes their no-fly zone. But they do these tests and they run them right down over this canyon and this ridge, down through all these valleys for these drills. Red flag, green flag, with Jade Helm, all that popping off. But Tikaboo sits right there. That's why it is the legal spot, because it is not in a no-fly zone. Now, if you wanted to be an idiot and venture further south and cross into the territory, then you would be violating their airspace. But along this road, it comes up and it pinches. It doesn't even cross it at that point. Nowhere along it does it cross it. But from the Little Alien, in this spot right here, all the way down the road, you take this trail on the other side of this lake that wraps down around the mountain, and it cuts straight up through here to the base, and then you hike up to the top, and right here is where Tikaboo sits, right on the edge. So all this is fair game. So if you're going to a neck of the woods you're unsure of, I would check out this map. Yosemite, places like that. You're not going to be able to go there and film it. Anywhere around these naval stations, these strips, you're not going to be able to get into there neither. And they do allow, like I said, through the Section 333 here, people to get permits to do certain things. And you can also get the permits to be able to like fly and cover a building under a certain limit. Like you had to keep it like under 180 feet. If you want to do a building that may be, say, within 2 miles of an airport, and you were to keep it low, if you were going to get something for those purposes, they would look at it and they would issue it for that. But you couldn't be violating that and going above what you're supposed to. Things to know that I wanted to share with you guys out here. And you can see there's other sporadic ones that just pop up in certain areas. Well, Disneyland always got one on it, I guess. So yeah, you couldn't get Disneyland. You see, but there's other parks out there that don't have no-fly zones like that you could get some amazing shots of. Cities that have the airports like right there in the center, and then have big events that pop off. Say a riot breaks loose or something crazy. Depending on where everything goes down, you're going to have to pay attention to where you can and cannot fly your drone, especially if you're trying to get killer footage on the ground of something going on. You have to be careful where you're at, because sometimes you could be going with the flow and end up in an area and actually be within that ring and not know it. So just wanted to put this out there so people are aware. Try to touch on every base possible. I'll leave links with more information. I'll continue to do updated videos as I come across info. But I hope you guys found this helpful. Y'all stay safe out there. It's been Dabu 7.